Connecticut. I'm on the phone with Heather Lindsay, which is the most important case you will ever hear in the state of Connecticut. Unfortunately, this woman has been traumatized for years. She was Dr. Ahuja's assistant as he raped her, drugged her, foreclosed on her home, and raped and drugged many men, and issued overprescribed opioids all across Stamford, all across. His second office was in Darien. And what you need to know is about how the court has kept her silent, okay, while the judge bribed the police, what the involvement of the DOJ is, but most importantly, what the court is doing. This is the court case. This is the number, FST CV, right here on the screen, 11-600-9032-S. Heather Lindsay versus Dr. Ahuja. She's on the phone. Here we go. We go down to motion 170. I have it on the screen. Motion to open and vacate the judgment. Now, I can't read it. Why? The court won't let us open it. However, look here. Motion to open and vacate the judgment. No parties present. Of course not. No hearing. Hi, this matter is to be assigned to Judge Tobin. Look at these very important documents, folks. Here's the second one. Okay, what does it say? Same spiel. Look at the date, November 26, 2019. She's been waiting for a hearing. COVID hit. Here's Heather. Heather, go.
Hi. So now this hearing that is before the court for December 20th, Judge Gennario, who is a known pedophile protector, his uncle, the Monsignor at St. Catherine's Church in Greenwich.
William Gennario, yep.
Yep, he raped 23 young boys. Judge, because of the power of the Gennario family, they moved that judge around and waited until his demise to actually compensate the victims. This I brought up in court to Judge Gennario, and he obviously doesn't have any love for me because I'm exposing him. But secondary to that, I want to know why he's sitting on my case when it involves rape.
And murder. I mean, you expected that Ahuja murdered his own wife and son. And the cops suspect that Ahuja murdered his own wife and son. Okay, go ahead.
After I was raped, certain individuals have come forward to say that Dr. Ahuja's wife was getting ready to spill the beans on him, and lo and behold, she ended up drugged and murdered on the same couch in the living room where I was raped. Now we have Dr. Ahuja's wife dead from an overdose of the same drugs that he was criminally prosecuted for distributing, overprescribing in Connecticut, and the same thing happened to his son, Kenneth Ahuja.
Now, I've seen the federal case where he had 26 counts of overprescribing and other reasons where he issued prescriptions even after he was arrested and his license was removed.
Correct. And then Judge White covered it up by only giving him a $10,000 fine to give to charity. And they mocked, his own lawyer mocked me in the courtroom saying...
So Judge White, who just threw the book at Sam Magliari, arrested him for his 6th time during jury selection this week, is the same Judge White who targeted T.J. Elgin, who targeted Andrew Pritchard, who targeted... Did Tim Judge get targeted by White?
Well, he's in before him. He was in the courtroom yesterday, and the case was continued.
Tell us what happened to Tim Judge, just quickly.
So Tim Judge, because of a clerk in the Stamford court, Amy Michelvey, she double stamped a paper so that Tim wouldn't have his day in court, and they basically took the house, his home in Greenwich, without him having any due process rights.
Hold on, are the kids on the eviction documents?
Yeah, they were all arrested. No, they weren't on the eviction
Right.
docket.
So they arrested a 13-year-old girl, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, 14. They knew nothing about anything. Dad went to court all by himself and tried to keep the family protected. And so the police, Greenwich PD, came to the home on direction of Tom Foldy, another criminal who does the evictions.
I think Tom Foldy also took 25 Alexander Street 2 weeks ago in Greenwich.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm told.
They stole the contents of a home with a piano and everything, and God knows where it is. She doesn't know. The woman doesn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a mess. Basically, everyone better start paying attention to these foreclosures because the lawyer, Dr. Ahuja's lawyer, Robert Finke, who now got promoted to Assistant Attorney General in Denver, Colorado, after what happened to me. Isn't it funny how everyone tends to get a promotion as soon as something big hits where the criminality is unfathomable? They get promoted and they get given a raise.
Like Judge Bellis, who just got a raise due to the Alex Jones trial.
Exactly. So, people think that you might be out in a bar or something, watch your drink, tell your kids to be careful, watch their surroundings. I was at work, people. I was at work. I've never done a drug in my life. This guy sedated me. His own doctor said the amount of drugs that were given to me would have been aimed to kill me, not to rape me. And then shortly thereafter, his wife ended up dead. We've got a victim that came forward that's suggesting the fact that Dr. Ahuja bragged to him about seeing naked photographs of me, and also that the wife knew too much and was ready to talk, and that's why he killed her. Stamford Police, I mean, come on, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to match up the fact that the DEA, in writing, anyone can look, it's open on the internet, you can read for yourself to fact check the fact that all the drugs are right there, the same drugs, and also the statement from Dr. Ahuja and his attorney that Dr. Ahuja gave all the medical help or treatment to his wife and his sister and his brother.
While his brother was caught with $18 million in the trunk bribing judges in New York.
Correct. Well, he was bribing New York police officers to get high-level drug dealers out of prison in a New York prison and in a Texas prison.
So what Judge White did was to protect a known rapist murderer.
Correct.
Wow. And now this week, he walked into a trial where Sam Magliari's already suing him in federal court to rearrest Sam during jury selection.
Correct.
So hold on. The judge who's being sued by the defendant took over the case just to rearrest when he is already being sued by, and Sam is also suing the prosecutor, and I was there when the prosecutor stood up, you were there, and said, hey, I gave Sam Magliari these documents in August, which never occurred, falsely giving the judge the impression that he was given exculpatory evidence that would clear him when in fact it was never given to him. Is that true?
Yes. The bottom line is this guy's already facing over 20 years in jail, and they're digging up garbage on him to add more time because he hasn't stopped whistleblowing. It doesn't behoove them to allow this. I mean, he's making a mockery, of the court system and the government center and
But
the
it's
police
white.
department.
But the fact I'm trying to make is it's white who allowed Dr. Ahuja to give more opioids to children.
Exactly.
And that in turn led to murders, right?
Yes.
And bribes to the Stamford Police Department.
And what everyone needs to see is half of the properties that Ahuja, what he did was he judgment-proofed himself so that I would never get a dime. And he put everything into his attorney's son's name, Nicholas Ahuja, who I subpoenaed to the courtroom. He never showed up, and the judge wanted special accommodations made for him. He was never questioned.
Okay, so here we go. Get back to the court screen. Let's talk about you filing a motion to vacate and reopen a case about murder and rape, right?
Exactly.
And them waiting 3.5 years to give you your December 20th
Let me let the
Zoom
public
call.
know what my new evidence is.
Oh, say it.
There was an illegal tape recording made of me when I was asked to come to the lawyer's office, which I did do. I went to Darien office. Dr. Ahuja showed up. In that time frame, the lawyer handed me a letter of bribe that said that they wouldn't foreclose on my property that they had no right to in California, a multi-million-dollar property, and that they would pay the $80,000 that I owed on that property. And they would, as long as I left Connecticut, and I went down to the Stamford Police Department and tell the sergeant that I made up a story about rape.
Was it Sergeant Weed?
It was Sergeant Van Allen. James
Oh, okay.
Van Allen.
Okay.
And so they asked me to go and perjure myself by getting the criminal charges dropped against Dr. Ahuja. And the only way they could have done that is if I said that I lied. And I told them to F themselves.
Nice.
And I took that bribe letter directly to the police department.
Who? To who?
I went to see the sergeant. He told me to turn around and put my hands behind my back, that I was getting arrested for handing in that bribe letter. That's how I was treated as a rape victim.
Whoa.
Now, when I burst into tears and said I was glad to be arrested, that finally I'll get my day in court, and the judge is going to believe me and not you.
Right, because this is after the conviction of Ahuja.
That was before.
Oh my God, you're kidding.
No, way long before.
So while the police are saying, hey, we got to get this guy, that was a front while they were receiving money from him. Obviously,
Right.
I've heard stories where cops are maintaining that Ahuja gave him free steroids.
Yeah, they were getting steroids and Viagra. I worked in his office.
Oh,
I
boy.
don't choose to go around naming police officers. The city said, yeah, give us the names. Look I've already been...
What were the names? What were the names?
Stolen out of my driveway. They busted my windows. They wrote in 5-foot letters across my garage door. They wrote the word nigger. They kicked my car doors in. It doesn't matter now because I don't even have cars. But I mean, this is how I get treated by the Stamford Police Department.
Well, I know they withheld they said there was no police report filed on your stolen cars until we beat the heck out of them and made them give it to us.
Exactly.
So they
If you
lied
weren't
about
there,
that.
Johnny, I still wouldn't
So
have
here they go. They are evidence tampering, A. B, destruction of needed evidence after it's been requested for, which is obstruction, right?
Well, the sergeant was subpoenaed by Dr. Ahuja and his lawyer. My attorneys didn't subpoena him. He was brought into the courtroom and he testified under oath that he personally threw away the tape recordings that would have proved everything that I'm telling the public right now.
Hold on a second.
The fact that I was bribed.
Is that in a transcript?
They're refusing to give me transcripts, Johnny.
Is that in a transcript? Is that in a transcript?
In a transcript, yes. The officer said that the tape was very, very, very long. It's not the same tape that's circulating now. And what they did was they destroyed physical evidence that proved that I was in that office, and I refused to accept a $3 million bribe. I refused, basically what has happened since.
So I can serve them. I can serve them I can serve them with a subpoena for that if you want.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, consider it done. It's going to take me about a week.
This is how they get away with it. They drug their feet, and then they say, "Oh, statute of limitations has expired."
You know what they say? They say to me all the time, "Oh, since there's a pending investigation, we can't give you any information."
They did that all the way to the day of trial, Johnny.
I've been told that.
Years.
I've been told that for 20 years.
Yeah, it's all their game.
So in other words, they're collecting the bribes while telling the general public who's the victim that we can't give you a rape victim evidence of your rape, and we're destroying the evidence, which we've admitted in transcripts, that the judge in this case refuses to give you.
Exactly.
So here we go. This implicates Kavanowski, Gennario. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, because if you look at the screen, let's put the screen back on. You asked for this in 2019, obviously, on 10/16/2019, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then all the way down to 2021, denied.
Well, now let me clarify one thing. I had my trial, and that is not where the transcripts come from. The transcripts come from the fact that arrogant Dr. Ahuja, because, kangaroo court ruled against me.
Right.
So what he did, in turn, 2 years after the fact, he turned around and sued my two attorneys. And at that trial, I didn't want to be put in an appearance, because then I would be open for being sued. Not that I have anything left after they took everything.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is I went to each hearing, and I was a part, and I did participate.
Right.
Even though I was not, there wasn't an appearance on file.
Right.
Now I'm requesting the transcripts.
Right.
And for well over a year and a half, since the trial, I've been told that is a sealed case. Now we've got judges involved.
It's not sealed.
It is not sealed. One motion was sealed, and Melody, the head transcriber in the city of Stamford.
Melody Moss?
Melody Moss.
Ah.
Melody Moss.
She's in the hot seat right now, folks.
Yeah. Well, so she was calling the marshals on me, demanding that I leave, would not allow me to get those transcripts. She even implicated she implicated Judge Blowie, although I said, I want to see it in writing that Judge Blowie is denying me my transcript. She said she called the marshals on me.
Because she did it herself. By the way, what I would say is that Gennario's involved in 200 cover-ups for Bernie Madoff, okay? Kavanowski's involved in a cover-up of election fraud in Connecticut. Do you understand? Clark is now getting involved as a new judge with oversight of the other judges, and in your case, denied a fee waiver in a case that implicates a doctor of issuing opioid medication to thousands of students.
Yeah, meanwhile, they keep me completely destitute when I have, I owed $80,000 on a multi-million-dollar hilltop property out in California. And the judge said, go to California. I'm not going to give you property back in California.
Well, hold on. What was the equity? How long did you own the house?
I own that property since around 1995.
So it could have tripled in value.
Oh, the property, they just sold it on a straw buy for $3.5 million.
So in other words, you may have had $1 million mortgage, right?
Yeah, but I only owed $80,000.
Oh, so they stole $2 million.
Yeah, well, they stole my whole future. They stole everything because my whole plan was
Right.
because of my nursing background and my
Right.
educational
So
background.
so just name, how much did Andrew Pritchard get robbed of?
$3.5 million.
Right. So how much did Tim Judge get robbed of?
I don't know how much he had a two-family in Greenwich, so
But didn't he have a $10 million house that he was building?
No,
Who
no.
did? Who's the guy with the $10 million house?
That's Paul.
Oh, that's Paul. Okay. So anyway, this adds up to $20 million between everyone.
This is hundreds of millions of dollars. These homes back from the people don't
Yeah,
understand.
25 Alexander's worth $3.5 million stole for no money also.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
See, people are very judgmental. They feel the public needs to educate themselves before they put their foot in their mouth. And that's not to be rude, because I was in that boat myself. I was wet behind the ears. I believed everything that people told me. I had no reason not to. And I trusted the police department. I poured my soul, my heart, and even on the stand, the judge said over and over repeatedly in his memorandum that it appeared that I was doing my very absolute best to tell the truth.
Okay, so listen, let me ask you a question. Financially, right? If you add up the McCalla-Raymer, the Cazenovia Creek, Judge Spader, MTAG, all these 662,000 foreclosures of mortgage mills, right? How many billion dollars do you think it adds up to?
Yeah, I mean.
How many billion? Take a number.
I mean, I can't, it's unfathomable. Who the heck knows? And you got to remember, these are securitized things that they're making, they're all...
Right. EMAP fraud, right? Title fraud.
Not only the EMAP, but they're making money off of these mortgages. They're lending that money out. So they're making, trillions of dollars on these mortgage-backed securities.
Mm-hmm. All under Congressman Jim Himes, correct?
Yeah, and the joke of it is they use the public's lack of knowledge about what's going on to it hurts us.
Okay, so let's make an appeal. Let's use the time wisely. Here we go.
Okay.
Do you need affidavits of people who know? Like, for example, last month, I met two ladies whose sons were hooked on opioids in Darien, Connecticut. They are distraught. They ruined their families. No one knows their names. They've never come forward. These are two ladies I met in a living room while fixing kitchen cabinets. Like out of the blue, no connection. You know what I mean?
I want to make sure that everyone knows that these very, very, very powerful drugs, that's why Purdue Pharma, this is why these companies were sued. We know that you're still hooked out there. We know that you still are out in the street looking for drugs. It doesn't matter. I need you. I need an affidavit. Look me up. Call Johnny, please. Pass the word around.
My email address.
It doesn't matter that you're still hooked. He ruined your life by getting you addicted. I need you. I need.
Okay, so here we go. Who got you addicted? Send me an email to johnflynn4ussenate@yahoo.com. I will get you in touch with collection of these affidavits, and the judges need to go to jail because it's the judge holding up this case where children were murdered. Children. Now, by the way, there is families in Greenwich that want to hear about this information. There are families in Columbia, Connecticut. That's a 2-hour drive, folks. They are in the heroin capital of the world. All these cases of laced marijuana, they just approved the legislation because they want to cut the surplus population. They want to reduce the population. Hold on a second. It's genocide. Letting these judges manipulate these cases. These are constitutional rights of Heather. These are constitutional rights of Paul. These are property rights of Andrew. These are property rights of 25 Alexander. These are.
Well, Tony, people are paying their mortgages thinking that they're not part of this. They can come at any time for no reason, just like they did on my properties, and take them. And they are not. You go to the court and say,
Hey,
how could
they
this
took
happen?
2 of mine.
You're out.
They took 2 of mine. And by the way, 28 cashed stolen mortgage checks payable to Wells Fargo were cashed. And there is no financial history on my property. So Judge Tierney heard the case. Now look at the recent Tim Judge case. My understanding is, hold on.
Back with Tierney, let the public know. We need to keep, every video should say, Judge Tierney on the record in a winning case for the defendant, for the homeowner. He had a tantrum and he told the public on the record, we can post that again, Johnny, where Judge Tierney stated, do you think it's fair that you should get a free house? The homeowner said, no, it's not fair, Your Honor, but we don't know who we owe. We don't know who to pay. Judge Tierney's direct quote, well, I'm going to do everything in my power to see that you lose because no one gets a free house.
Hold on. Did you see what Gennario said to Andrew Pritchard? Hi. All the judges that I know will financially harm you. All. You see, he's claiming that when he refers something to Kavanewski, like right here, he gives them instructions. So I don't know if you saw the last Kavanewski Zoom call. He took a break in the middle to talk to another judge about what the judge wanted him to impose. You understand? Like, hi, I'm not going to interpret the law. I'm going to find out what this other judge is instructing me to do. And that's exactly what happened. So Kavanewski comes back, right?
Right.
And all hell breaks loose.
Remind the public, they could look online and they could see Judge Gennario's testimony that Kavanewski is his friend and has been his best friend since 10 years of age. They do everything together. So when Judge Gennario denies me, he puts me in front of Judge Kavanewski. Judge Kavanewski tells me to shut up, and he denies me a second time. And in most of our foreclosure cases, eventually we go before on the last I've never been but once in front of Judge Adams. He sweeps up the dust.
Judge Adams, let me tell you who Judge Adams is. Ready?
Ready.
Judge Adams assigns the cases. Judge Adams is a partner at Kelly Dry & Warren. Kelly Dry & Warren cashed 1,300 stolen checks of mine. Judge Adams worked for Chris Parent. Chris Parent was an employee of Kelly Dry & Warren. Chris Parent took over a brokerage firm and stole all the shares of stocks in custody. Okay, so here we go. Judge Adams is a partner with lawyers, okay? Ready? Lawyer Kelly, lawyer Mark Gregory, lawyer Kelly Adams. Lawyer, let me think. There's a lot of them. Thomas Kelly, Mark Gregory, Delphine Knight Brown. The list goes on and on. Of lawyers working for Kelly Dry, cashing stolen checks. Then the judge hears the case, dismisses the case, and when the lawyer steals the cash stolen checks, they maintain they're your attorney, and what they stole from you is protected by the attorney-client privilege. Do you understand who Judge Adams is? The Antichrist. Okay?
Yeah.
Having a lawyer claim to be your attorney. Imagine if Your cash stolen check enabled a commissioner of the court to steal your property. That's what's happening all over Connecticut. You understand?
Yeah.
That's on the securities end. So they're stealing mortgages for mortgage fraud. Then they're false imprisoning people who are whistleblowers like Sam Magliori, correct? And then they go in to people with assets like Andrew Pritchard, steal his home for zero consideration, a $3.5 million home with no mortgage, right? Now that was stolen in December, yet, what month is it? November?
November.
Right, it's a year. It's coming up on a year. What happened?
Well, we're actually December 3rd today, Johnny.
Well, I think
Time
his...
flies when we're having fun.
Hold on a second. If this isn't a criminal cabal, your case to me and the screen I'm showing shows how the multiple judges cover up for the first judge who's covering up for a murderer. And Judge White took a bribe too. Okay? By the way, let me explain the T.J. Elgin case. Unbelievable. T.J. Elgin was running for Congress against Himes, assaulted in his driveway on the day he proposed to his wife, gave her a ring. She said yes. Knock, knock, knock. 2 cops encourage him out into the driveway. They beat him up on video. Then they take him to court saying he resisted. Then, okay, turns out Dennis Bradley is T.J. Elgin's attorney, who's a staffer for Himes. So T.J. Elgin is in a congressional race against Himes. A Himes staffer misleads Elgin to use, ready? To use a senator, Dennis Bradley, to represent Elgin's interest in court. Elgin calls me, Johnny, come with me to court. I say, great. I go. Who's the judge? White. What does White say? Hey, who's T.J. Elgin? Oh, come to the mic. And he goes, I want to plead not guilty. Ready? Not guilty. The judge says, White says, I can't allow you to plead not guilty. Where's Dennis? Now, I don't know that Dennis Bradley was T.J.'s attorney. T.J. called me and said, my attorney can't show. Will you go with me to court? I said, great. I said, you're going to have to represent yourself. He says, fine. We find out in court that Dennis Bradley is on a first-name basis with White, who refuses to take a not guilty plea from a guy running for Congress against Himes. And I turn to TJ and say, TJ, didn't you know that Dennis Bradley is a staffer for Himes? Why would you hire him if you're against Himes in a congressional race? And do you know what Judge White said?
What?
I mean, you realize the judge knows Senator Bradley well enough that he calls him Dennis. He never identified him as Bradley. You understand? First name basis. And then allowed Dennis, who's a staffer for Himes, to represent a person with an adverse party. You understand? Like, here we are in Sam Magliori's case, right? Lengel, who has an adverse interest to Sam Magliori, right? They have an adverse interest. Sam wants to do what Sam wants to do, and Lengel wants to put Sam in prison for the rest of his life, correct? Why? He never filed the motion to dismissal. He never filed all the things that Sam wanted him to do. While White is the judge, while White should have recused himself after Sam served him in federal court for misconduct, violating the judicial canons of conduct. So here we are. How much more obvious do we have to be that a murderer, rapist, drug addict, drug dealer, pusher, raping women in your Ahuja case, and his brother found with $18 million in the trunk? How much do you think they bribed the Stamford Police? Is there a guess?
Yeah.
Is there a guess? I know someone has a guess. I'm not willing to say what it is. But let's leave it for later, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's leave. We're at 36 minutes.
How much the bribe was, but
You know, but you can't say, right?
He wants protection, and I don't trust it. I mean, how can I trust a FBI that sends the Stamford PD continually to my house to do wellness checks when I know they're using and weaponizing the courts through? If you're a whistleblower, you're either going to jail or you're getting put in the mental hospital. There's no way around it. And we don't have an FBI or a DOJ that are protecting victims.
No, look what they did to Trump.
Exactly.
By the way, there are transcripts. There are transcripts, okay, in the Linwood case that say FBI agents were waterboarding other Americans with kerosene, forcibly making them drink kerosene and diesel fuel so their colons were extended. They have internal bleeding, internal burning of the esophagus all the way down through their large and small intestine. And guess who has oversight? Jim Himes and Richard Blumenthal.
Yeah.
Coercing, ready? Coercing, influencing federal judges. So here we go. I have an article from Connecticut saying that Blumenthal and Murphy are coercing judges by getting signed confidentiality agreements. Before they recommend a federal judge, they've got to sign these documents. Well, hold on a second. In the 5G case against Blumenthal, there is a federal judge named Meyer. Meyer has a confidentiality agreement, and he's hearing the Blumenthal case. He refuses to recuse himself, just like Gennario.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, they think they're above the law. He's going to sit on a telephone on December 20th and say denied.
Can I be there?
You know what? All I know is I'm going to ask him come next week to, once again, I'm going to ask for a recusal. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I don't want to be on a telephone. I want to be in a courtroom with my peers, with other victims. When we went to Judge White's courtroom.
By the way, they can say later it wasn't constitutional if they need to defend themselves. In their own defense of their own case, if you ever went after them, they would say, I'm sorry, this evidence is inadmissible.
They have judicial immunity against everything. They protect the clerks. They're protecting the judges. I mean, what is it going to take? You've got multitudes of people right here in Stamford. I know someone else that their little niece was, died at the hands of Dr. Ahuja. And if I go around and I collect up these affidavits, and the police department said, I have a way of forcing people's hands to come forward. I asked the police department to question certain victims. One victim of Dr. Ahuja that she was molested in his Stamford office went to the police. She called me up thereafter, and she told me that because of the way, she said, you're a strong woman, Heather. I can't handle the police department. Dr. Ahuja will rot in hell for what he's doing, but I'm sorry. The way that they treat me, I can't handle it. I just can't. So this is how they get away with harassing the victims. A male victim went to the Darien Police Department, and he's filing a complaint against the police for how he was treated in the fact that he was raped by Dr. Ahuja.
Was it Anderson? Chief Anderson?
I don't know. No, it was actually...
Bucell?
No. He has the same name of an officer over there in Stamford.
Duignan? D-U-I-G-N-A-N? Duignan?
No. It's just I'm not able to wrap my mind around it. It starts with an N, and I can't...
Nucera?
No. He was just promoted with Conklin.
Oh. I was there at the promotion.
I just can't...
I can't think of it. I know what he looks like. I went to
I
that
don't know if
promotion.
I don't
Can you
know if
believe
this
how
is
many
drug
promotions they're giving?
Pardon me?
The number of promotions deals with the number of crimes they're approving.
Exactly. Nodo. It's
Nodo.
Nodo.
Oh, I know Nodo.
And Nodo was the same name of the officer that disrespected this victim, a few weeks ago when he went to the Darien Police Department. And what they do is because the disrespect is that bad, the victims never go back because, who's going to put themselves in for I dealt with it.
Well, Dignan's been threatening to arrest me for like 5 years. You know what? Bring it. Bring it.
And he's the one person that has a law degree over there in the Stamford Police Department.
Who, Dignan?
So that's what, pardon me?
Dignan does, or Nodo?
No, Nodo.
Nodo just got an award last week. I saw it.
Well,
On 11-3 or 11-6, they had a meeting.
but once again, they take a rape victim and they put me in there with Nodo, which he denies it. They have cameras in the Stamford Police. They took me in a room. Everyone, Ted Jankowski left, the victim's advocate left.
Ted Jankowski is a huge criminal.
Yeah, so they left me in the room with Nodo, and Nodo tried to convince me.
Well, when I reported the Stephen Barrier murder,
right,
they knocked this tooth out. Well, they chipped it. I've had it repaired twice, but it won't repair. They knocked the back of my tooth out by elbowing me in the face. Now, that's on video, according to Sean Bogger, but he won't give me a copy of it. So, by the way, I did subpoena him last week for it.
wow.
Yeah, so if we don't get it, guess what?
That seems like a common link as well, because when I was raped and they stuck the gun down my throat, they knocked my front tooth, and you know what?
They shoved a gun down your throat?
Yes, they did.
Who? You'd rather not say?
Well, no,
Is it in the police report?
Pardon me?
Is it in the police report?
Oh, yeah. That was part of the trial.
Oh my God, I gotta see this transcript.
That was to force my mouth open when I gripped my mouth closed, and you can imagine what they did.
Oh boy.
So, but you know what? There was no Me Too movement when I stepped forward. I was one woman that was brave enough to protect everyone in Stamford. This guy raped a woman 20 years before he raped me. That all came out when I protested in front of the office with 8-foot signs. Anyone that lives in Stamford that crosses High Ridge Road, they said the phones were ringing off the hook at the police department.
Mm-hmm.
All a cover-up. Now, I did my due diligence. I was a bit, very distraught victim that once I went forward, I pulled out all the stops. When Stamford wouldn't do their job, I went to Darien and I told him Dr. Ahuja, is doing this out of his Darien office. I told them the victims' names, and basically they threw me out of the Darien Police Department as well. And my reports read as such: she's wearing out the doorstep at the different law enforcement agencies. Now, what do you do as a victim when you aren't getting justice in one department? You go where I went to the DOJ. Well, as I said, the head of drug enforcement believed me and brought the victim's advocate from the Department of Justice. I was told to meet them in Bridgeport, and I told the prosecuting attorney that, a state's attorney that eventually got a feather in his cap for convicting Dr. Ahuja in Janet Hall's courtroom in a federal court of law. Essentially, I was blocked from everything, like as if I never even went down there. He basically told my attorney he's never seen me before in his life. And when I called him an effing liar and I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Janet Hall and I'm going to let her know Janet Hall's the head federal judge in Connecticut, and I'm going to let her know, and she's going to believe me, not you. Well, I never got to that point. They moved the case forward, sealed the deal by getting $200,000 out of Dr. Ahuja, and called it a day. And as if that's enough to stop a major drug dealer, he went on to do the same thing. A week later, the DEA called his office and said, we told you that you're not allowed to prescribe these controlled substances. All the local pharmacies said that you're still prescribing. Dr. Ahuja's word, in quote, DEA's got it on the transcript. You can pull that by looking it up. He said, don't tell me how to take care of my patients.
Well, remember we were leaving the courthouse, and there was a woman on the bench that was ranting?
Yes.
Kathy Vale is her name? This
Yes.
Joisto Clemente raped his wife. He's a serial rapist. Raped her, if you can believe that. And right now there's a hearing. They want to let him out of jail, and she's objecting. She says she has information on Judge White, that Judge White violated 2 federal laws when he reduced the charges against that rapist. So, Bob Duff, Senator Bob Duff, could let criminals out of prison across Connecticut. In other words, they know he's a serial rapist. They want him out of jail because they don't want to pay for his housing anymore. You understand?
Yeah.
And the lady on the bench is saying Judge White's involved. Just so you know.
Well, when Judge White went, when he screamed at me that I wasn't allowed to talk in the court, I was entitled. I was told by the prosecutor's office and the victim's advocate, which they sent me down to the courtroom along with the other victims. We waited for our turn. Judge White was never going to give us our turn. He screamed at me to sit down. No victim's impact statement if you're going against Dr. Ahuja. Essentially, we were all blocked. That's a state statute in Connecticut, and most states have adopted that. And the rule is, if you've been victimized, you're allowed to make your statement in open court if that's what you choose to do. And that's what I felt it was something I needed to do, and I wanted to do, and so did these other victims. And Judge White blocked it, and then that's when he said he was giving him a $10,000 fine to charity. The end.
Okay, I have Gary White's picture on the screen right now. And, hold on. So I've been searching. There he is. So the fact that he's involved in so many opioid addiction cases, rape cases, and murder cases, he's reflecting on decades of service in this article. Perry Mason as a teenager. Gary White knew he wanted to become an attorney, now a Superior Court judge. Gary White.
Ask you, is it too far-fetched to think that there's a possibility that the payoff came from Ahuja in the fact that I'm told through reputable sources that Judge White lost his daughter to overdose?
Oh, wow, I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, he's a total idiot.
No, but think about it. If Dr. Ahuja was the one that dealt out the medications.
Oh, you think that his daughter was a victim of Dr. Ahuja? Yeah.
With all that we've got on our plate, we don't need to even add fuel to the fire. This guy should be removed from the bench. He's sentencing, I watched him sentence this kid, basically, the guy had a few drinks, he was in his apartment, the fire alarm went off. He has a 4-year degree, he lives in Bridgeport. The baby mama was in the house with them. Fire department shows up on scene because the alarm went off, and they go to answer the door. Now they've got charges against the dad because they said he wasn't attending to the child and that he was drinking.
Okay.
So
Well, let's wrap it up. You know, we're at 49 minutes.
Okay, let's get off the phone then.
All right, cool. Have a great day. By the way, you're an angel, and people need to step up here because we're losing everything that the Constitution, every protection that we have is gone.
And Connecticut's the leader in this. Don't make the excuse, oh, it's all over the country. Connecticut's worse. We're the leader in stealing homes that have zero paperwork to back it up. Go ahead, keep paying your mortgage, and then you'll be the next one to find out you paid the wrong party. And then you know what the judge will say? Well, you got to pay the new party. So you'll pay 30 years on your mortgage just to find out you paid the wrong party and now you owe someone else. And if you don't pay them, you're going to get thrown out in the street.
Well, as a final note, Ed Marcus, who owns the Ed Marcus Law Group, was DNC chair. He recently passed away. So, what's happening? Well, they are now fighting, and Judge Spader is a lobbyist for Judah Epstein, trying to take over the Ed Marcus control of mortgage mills in Connecticut by paying senators through the lobby group of Judge Spader knocking door to door to gain influence to control all the mortgage foreclosure cases in the state. And you elected these Democrats to take your money. So they are stealing your money. They are taking your homes, and you empowered them to rob yourself. So all I can say is, you know what? Shame on you. It's been proven. It is beyond repair, and you screwed yourself and go to hell. How about that?
Yeah, good luck.
You're the best. Let's tell them what, let's figure it out and get to the, we got to get rid of Judge Spader. We got to get rid of Judge White. We got to get rid of Gennario. Gennario is a problem, folks.
Where's the oversight? Why hasn't the DOJ...
Patrick Carroll has oversight. I have called him 30 times to yell at him.
Yeah, well, these people, when their kid is addicted... And there's nowhere
Patrick Carroll is responsible for every opioid death in the United States of America. That's 350 a day.
Yeah.
350 deaths per day are due to Judge Patrick Carroll.
Kids,
Follow the bouncing ball.
Yeah.
And what's happening? We're imploding. The country's imploding. Why?
Maybe we should have a public hearing, and we should get the public to attend.
Well, maybe great discussion, but I got to go to work. I got bills coming out my rear end, and I got to pay them. Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you, Johnny.
Loving you, babe. Bye.